how do you truly fight fire in the digital age, especially when, your opponent seems to be playing by a completely different rule book? It's a huge question, really shaping American politics right now.
It really is.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a pretty audacious shift in political strategy. We're looking closely at California Governor Gavin Newsom. He seems to have moved beyond just policy debates.
Oh, absolutely.
He's jumped headfirst into the online battleground, almost mimicking his rivals, it seems, and using cutting-edge tech to wage this, new kind of political warfare. So our mission for you today is to pull out the most important insights from the sources you've shared. We want you to clearly understand what this big shift might mean for the future of our political landscape.
Yeah, it's genuinely fascinating to watch. You have a major state leader like Newsom, not just participating, but actively trying to shape the national political conversation. And like you said, it isn't just traditional ambition. It feels very deliberate, calculated even, mixing old school aspirations with some, pretty unconventional methods.
Okay, let's unpack that. Gavin Newsom, governor of the most populous state, he's definitely been cultivating national ambitions for years. Yeah. People have described him as sort of waiting in the wings for that national stage.
Yeah, for sure. Popping up at places like the Vatican, doing those high-profile debates with DeSantis. Always on cable news, it seems.
He's been laying the groundwork very visibly.
Exactly. And, his constant chase for those network news spots, the flair for the photo ops, it's fueled that speculation for a long time.
Right.
But the real inflection point, the moment that really seemed to open a door for him, that came with President Biden's performance at the first 2024 presidential debate on CNN.
Yes. That debate.
Yeah, that event. It was widely described in our sources as, a catastrophic performance, wasn't it? Lots of verbal missteps, perceived fatigue. It just dramatically shifted the whole conversation.
And what was the immediate fallout from that? For Newsom, specifically?
Well, the immediate aftermath saw his online political betting odds basically triple. They soared to like a 1 in 4 chance for a future nomination just last week.
Wow, triple?
Yeah. It undeniably pushed his name right to the center of any talk about potential Democratic successors. He went from sort of a background player to, in many people's minds, a front runner. It wasn't just chatter anymore. You could measure the shift.
It's interesting, though, because sources like Bill Whalen from the Hoover Institution point out something key. He says Newsom's core message isn't actually so different from what Joe Biden has to say, but Whalen notes Newsom delivers it much more effectively.
Right.
And California, under him, is often called this dream scenario for Democrats, where they can pass liberal reforms that might be just impossible nationally. What does that ability to deliver it more effectively tell us?
Well, I think that's a critical point. Newsom's effectiveness, it speaks to a broader shift in what voters respond to, maybe especially younger voters.
Yeah.
It seems less about just, delivering dry policy papers and more about conveying conviction, energy, a perceived authenticity, even if that authenticity is, carefully managed.
Right. Curated.
Exactly. He projects this image of being decisive, forward-thinking.
Yeah.
And that seems to resonate with voters who feel maybe frustrated by perceived inaction in Washington. California then becomes his proof of concept, right?
The blueprint, yeah.
A blueprint for what a democratic future could look like. If the party fully embraced certain progressive ideas, he can showcase policy wins, climate stuff, social reforms that just aren't happening nationally right now.
And he's clearly got the financial muscle, too.
Oh, absolutely. If you connect the dots, Newsom's built up these truly formidable political funds from his runs for governor. We're talking millions. And he's been strategically using that money for ads, appearances. Not just boosting his own national profile, but also, importantly, helping other Democrats, including President Biden.
So investing in the party, too.
Exactly. That financial power gives him serious reach. He can kind of bypass traditional media and talk directly to voters in key states. It's like building a parallel campaign operation outside California. An investment in his brand, yes, but also in the wider Democratic world.
Okay, but here's where it gets tricky, isn't it? Despite all this national focus, his reputation back home in California, it's actually soured quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a key tension.
His approval rating dropped to 47% in June 2025. That's down significantly from 57% just back in March 2023. Seems like a real disconnect.
It does. And you have to ask, what's driving that disconnect at home? The sources consistently point to these persistent problems in California.
Like what?
Well, the spiraling homelessness crisis, which is still incredibly visible, an education system many feel is underperforming, and this growing economic inequality that hits everyday Californians hard.
Right. Basic governance issues.
Exactly. And Emily Hooven, a columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle, she put it quite bluntly. She observed that Newsom's actions increasingly suggest his priorities are, quote, increasingly lying outside of California.
Ouch.
Yeah. And that naturally frustrates constituents who, understandably feel they did not elect him to be the president. They elected him to run California.
Creates that perception he's looking past his current job.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there's this other layer.
Yeah.
He's been, as some sources put it, dogged by a certain elitist affect.
Ah, yes. The French laundry dinner during COVID lockdowns comes to mind. That got huge attention.
It did. A moment of perceived hypocrisy that really stuck, or his family moving to Marin for private schooling while he's championing public education.
Yeah. That doesn't look great.
No. And even comedians are picking up on it. Josh Myers parodied him on Jimmy Kimmel, vaping Merlot in a fancy jacket. Those kinds of things. They really impact his image.
How so? How do those elitist effects play against his national message?
Well, they're incredibly damaging because they feed this narrative that he's out of touch with the average person's struggles. The French laundry thing, when everyone else was sacrificing during the pandemic, it was just a powerful symbol.
Yeah, bad timing, bad optics.
Totally. And the private school thing, it creates this dissonance. The parodies, while funny, they help cement that elitist image. It just chips away at the authenticity he's trying to project nationally, makes it harder to connect with voters worried about, rent or jobs. These aren't just small slip-ups. They become part of this sticky public narrative.
Okay, so facing those domestic issues, but wanting to raise his national profile, what's his big move on the national stage, this meme war you mentioned?
Right. He's deliberately, it seems, adopting Donald Trump's very distinctive social media style.
How so? Like, specifically?
Well, his official press office is now using all caps posts quite a bit for emphasis.
Okay.
And he's using nicknames and insults, things like Donald Taco Trump, which stands for Trump always chickens out, apparently.
Oh, okay. Clever, I guess.
And blunt stuff like tiny hands.
Wow, okay.
And the mimicry goes further. He's doing the self-praise, third-person references. You see phrases like America's favorite governor.
Seriously?
Yeah. And he's even using a signature sign-off. Thank you for your attention to this matter, GCN. It's almost a direct copy of Trump's Truth Social closing.
That's bold.
It is. And his team's getting creative, too, editing Trump's speeches into, like, Star Wars villain voices, comparing a Trump advisor to Voldemort. It's a consistently snarky, combative tone, designed to get a reaction.
And he's admitted this is deliberate.
Oh, yeah. Newsom himself explicitly said he's following the president's example with this aggressive online stuff.
Yeah.
It's a stated strategy, not an accident.
It's a really calculated gamble, then. Supporters call it fighting fire with fire, right? Against opponents who don't play by the old rules, trying to give Democrats a real fighter.
Exactly. And Matt Bennett of Third Way noted that Newsom's online taunting gives real catharsis for Democrats who seethe all day at Trump's outrages.
I can see that. But what's the deeper strategy? Is it just about making the base feel good, or is there more to it?
Well, it's definitely more than just catharsis, although that's a big part of energizing the base. Mike Madrid suggests Newsom is fundamentally trying to disrupt Trump's own shock and spectacle communication style.
How?
For years, Republicans, especially Trump, dominated online with aggressive, sometimes outrageous stuff that just grabs attention. Newsom's basically saying, hey, we can play that game too.
Right.
He's showing Democrats they can troll back and shape the conversation, maybe take back some control of the narrative. Think about those provocative examples.
Like the Nobel Peace Prize joke for redistricting?
Right. Sounds nuts, but it gets headlines. Or that tweet suggesting Trump might give California to Putin because Newsom got attention with his maps. It's not about policy. It's attention warfare, psychological jabs.
And his team doubles down.
They do. His deputy comms director, Izzy Garden, had that sharp response to Fox News after Newsom said Texas Governor Abbott was rolling over for Trump, caused a huge stir online outrage and praise. It showed they could provoke, control the story for a cycle, and rally their supporters.
But this mimicry, it's got critics, and I can definitely see why. Reed Howard of Future Caucus called it race-to-the-bottom politics that America deserves better than. What's the main argument against Democrats doing this? Doesn't it risk alienating, moderate voters?
That's the core tension, isn't it? Efficacy versus principle. Critics argue that by jumping into this meme war, Democrats risk legitimizing the very tactics they've always condemned.
Right. It could drag the whole discourse down further.
Exactly. And Doug Gordon, a Democratic strategist, warned pretty starkly. Viral appeal doesn't always translate into broad support. He emphasized, social media is not real life. His worry is that while the online jabs might fire up the base, most voters, especially in the middle, they want leaders who actually do things substantively, not just act like online trolls. They might get turned off by the constant fighting.
Yeah.
And some people just question if trying to out-Trump Trump even works. Trump's whole chaotic grift methodology, as one source put it, is pretty unique to him, developed over decades.
Hard to replicate authentically.
Very hard. The risk is you end up looking like a weak imitation, or worse, you become the very thing you claimed you were fighting.
Okay, so beyond the online battles, Newsom is taking concrete political action too, especially on redistricting.
Right.
We saw Trump pushing Texas Republicans hard to redraw their congressional maps mid-cycle to grab maybe 5 extra House seats.
A highly unusual move.
And some sources connect that directly to his desire to block any potential impeachment and lock down GOP control of Congress. Though interestingly, polling showed most Texas voters, like 63%, thought that whole plan was unnecessary.
Yeah, the public wasn't really buying it. And this is where Newsom unveiled his Election Rigging Response Act. It was a direct counterpunch.
How direct?
He didn't just tweet, he sent a formal official letter straight to Trump. Issued a pretty stark threat. He said he'd lead an effort to redraw California's maps if Trump didn't back down on what Newsom called an unprecedented mid-decade hyper-partisan gerrymander.
Wow. And just to remind listeners, gerrymandering is drawing those district lines to unfairly favor one party, right? Often leading to those crazy-looking districts.
Exactly. Trump's push in Texas was a pretty clear attempt to manipulate the map for partisan gain.
So what's Newsom's proposed solution, this Election Rigging Response Act?
It's a proposed state constitutional amendment for California. It would go to the voters there in November via a special election.
And what would it do?
The key parts are pretty striking. California would temporarily adopt new congressional districts just for federal elections, running through 2030. But, and this is crucial, it promises to keep California's current maps. IF Texas and any other states also keep their original maps.
So it's explicitly framed as retaliation, a tit for tat.
Absolutely. It's designed as a direct reactive measure. What are the implications of California doing something that drastic, that reactive?
Yeah. What are the implications?
Well, they're significant, politically and legally. Politically, it's like high-stakes poker. Newsom's signaling that California, a huge Democratic state, won't just sit back while Republican states try to tilt the playing field unfairly.
He's saying, if you mess with the maps, we'll mess with ours too.
Pretty much. It's a big shift from the usual Democratic push for nonpartisan commissions.
Yeah.
Legally. A move like this would almost certainly end up in court immediately. States redrawing maps mid-decade purely for partisan gain is highly controversial and unusual.
Could set a bad precedent.
Definitely. It risks creating this kind of redistricting arms race where states just keep redrawing maps in reaction to each other. That could really destabilize elections even more.
Newsom himself said California will not sit idle as Trump and his Republican lapdogs shred our country's democracy. He's framing it as giving Californians power to nullify any gains he seeks from Texas or anywhere else.
Right. So it's not just a threat. It's positioned as this strategic counterstrike to deter others.
And it makes a powerful statement beyond California, too, doesn't it?
It does. It frames the whole thing in these really big existential terms, a battle for democracy itself, not just a partisan fight. By promising to nullify any gains, he's trying to take away the incentive for other states to pull similar moves. He's basically saying, keep your maps fair if you want us to keep ours fair.
And it looks like other Democrats are getting on board, not just Newsom.
Yeah, that's really notable. His move definitely spurred interest. You had quotes like Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego saying, it's time for Democrats to understand the existential threat. Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin said, I'm not going to fight with one arm tied behind my back. And you heard similar things from governors like Hochul in New York, Pritzker in Illinois, Murphy in New Jersey, even the Maryland House Majority Leader, all expressing this willingness to fight back, to not lay down.
So what does that widespread buy-in tell us about the party's whole strategy shifting?
It's incredibly telling. It signals a move away from what many saw as a past Democratic reluctance to engage in, bare-knuckle political fighting.
Right. They often focused more on process norms.
Exactly. Sometimes maybe at the expense of really pushing back hard against partisan attacks. Now, seeing these key figures from different states echo Newsom, it suggests a growing feeling within the party that they have to adopt a more aggressive, maybe take no prisoners approach to defend their interests and, as they frame it, democracy itself.
A realization that the old rules don't always apply.
Kind of seems that way. A realization that just sticking to tradition isn't enough when opponents are pushing boundaries. It indicates a willingness to use, well, maybe every tool they have, even controversial ones, to fight for what they see as electoral fairness.
Okay, so underlying all of this, the meme war, the redistricting fight, there's this often invisible force, artificial intelligence,
My
AI, machine learning, algorithms. They're having this huge pervasive impact on campaigns, on political talk, like this unseen hand guiding things.
And what's really crucial is AI's dual nature here. You've got the dark side, deepfakes, misinformation. We saw that chilling example in January 2024, the deepfake robocall impersonating President Biden.
To suppress votes in New Hampshire, yeah.
Exactly. And Ron DeSantis shared deepfakes of Trump with Fauci. Trump himself used AI-doctored images like that fake Taylor Swift endorsement.
Right.
These aren't just minor edits. These tactics can, as one source said, essentially manufacture their own realities, create narratives out of thin air. That further polarizes people and really chips away at already fragile public trust.
And it's the sheer scale and speed, isn't it? The ease, convenience, velocity, and volume of political propaganda that can be created by AI. It's just beyond anything we've seen before.
Absolutely. It contributes directly to that erosion of trust. It's not just photo editing anymore. It's generating convincing audio video that can spread globally in seconds. A new frontier for spreading information, or, misinformation.
Terrifying speed.
But then there's the other side, the strategic side. AI is also transforming campaign efficiency.
How so?
Well, AI tools are becoming vital for campaigns. They can quickly generate arguments for policies, help refine speeches by analyzing how audiences react, even act as sophisticated sparring partners for debate prep.
Letting candidates practice against realistic simulations?
Exactly. And beyond that, AI is incredible at data analysis. Campaigns use it to crunch huge amounts of data demographics, voting history, even consumer habits, online activity. And that lets them make much more informed decisions when allocating resources. They use predictive models of voter behavior to figure out, with surprising accuracy, who's persuadable, where to spend money best.
And that leads to that hyper-personalized messaging we hear about.
It does. AI enables this one-on-one targeting. Instead of just broad ads, campaigns can tailor messages to really resonate personally with individual voters.
How specific can it get?
Down to addressing specific issues, the economy, healthcare, local stuff, in a voice and language designed to specifically activate that person. Customized for the platform, the time of day, even the emotional tone. It's potentially a very powerful, individualized persuasion engine.
So with all that potential, what's the actual impact so far, especially the negative stuff like deepfakes?
Well, it's interesting. Despite all the concern, some experts like Natalia Bueno note that deepfakes have actually had a relatively small impact on global elections overall, outside of those big, prominent examples.
Really? So maybe the threat is a bit overhyped for now.
Perhaps. It suggests there might be a gap between the perceived danger and the actual influence, at least currently. But mitigation efforts are definitely ramping up.
Like what?
Well, there are growing calls for regulation, like watermarking AI content so you know it's AI-generated, holding social media platforms more accountable for disinformation, and pushing digital literacy so people can better separate AI from reality.
And can AI be used for good in this space, too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. AI powers sophisticated fact-checking tools that can debunk conspiracy theories. It can be used to analyze disinformation networks to understand how they spread. It's really a double-edged sword.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you, the informed citizen, trying to navigate this really complex political world? We've seen this fascinating, rapid evolution in political strategy. Gavin Newsom really pushing the boundaries of traditional Democratic engagement, embracing this combative online style, directly responding to Republican tactics. This meme war playing out alongside very real political moves like the redistricting fight, and all of it powered, amplified by the silent but growing influence of AI.
And for you listening, this deep dive really highlights the increasingly complex, sometimes almost theatrical nature of modern politics. It really challenges all of us to look past the headlines and try to understand the underlying strategies,
Yeah.
tech forces at play, the changing rules of engagement. It's a stark reminder that the digital world isn't just a place for policy talk. It's a fierce battleground for attention and influence.
Exactly. Which leads to the final thought. As politicians increasingly use digital mimicry and AI-driven content, how will you tell the difference between authentic leadership and just a performance designed purely to win the attention wars?
That's the crucial question.
And what responsibility do, as informed citizens, actually have in demanding real substantive debate over just viral spectacle in this ever-growing digital town square? Something to think about.